Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Let's Taste with the Intrepid Wino. My name is James Garsbrook. Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy New Year, depending on when I get this video out. I hope everyone ate and drank well with family and friends this Christmas and planning to do the same for New Year's Eve. I certainly am. And I am thrilled to be able to look at a New Zealand winery on this edition of Let's Taste. I don't often get the opportunity to look at New Zealand wineries. Most of the time I just look at Australian wines, but it has been fantastic for Opawa Wines in Marlborough to get in contact with me to find out if I'm interested in trying some of their wines, which I absolutely was. So on this edition we're looking at 4 wines from the Opawa range, probably at least 2 of the varieties. The 2 most important, well, at least the most important white and most important red variety in New Zealand. Opawa are based in Marlborough, and if you know anything about New Zealand wine, you'd know that Marlborough is one of the world leaders for Sauvignon Blanc, and that's what we're going to start off with. So the Opawa Sauvignon Blanc 2018 recommended retail is $23 Australian. I don't really know much about Opawa, but I'm really excited to look at their wines. According to their labels, they are sustainably grown. I don't know if that means organic or biodynamic, or if they have certification or not, but they are also apparently vegan friendly. So starting off, very pale colour, really super pale actually, not even a hint of green in there, just very pale yellow. Immediately transparent as Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc. You know, that lovely ripe guava, gooseberry, passion fruit, slightly herbal green, just a little bit of lovely ripe green capsicum as well. Reasonably aromatic and fairly exotic as well. Shows a lot of promise. Let's taste. Fresh, very clean, very light, not really explosive. It's actually quite pleasant, particularly at a colder temperature. Really classic varietal example of Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough region. The fruits are consistent with the nose on the palate, so we are looking at those tropical fruits. It's certainly not biting, or it doesn't have that kind of cat urine that often Australians associate with Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc. It's very pleasant, very well balanced, very light. It's not showing a lot of uniqueness. It is really benchmark of Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, but it is a very good example, particularly at that price point. It is a very competitive price point for Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, and Sauvignon Blancs from Australia as well, for that matter. $20. You do need to start producing something pretty significant at $20. There's a lot of reasonable Sauvignon Blancs between $10 and $15, but at $20 people expect a little bit more now. It has been a long time since Cloudy Bay Sauvignon Blanc was anywhere close to $20 per bottle, but when you find a good one like this, I think that's something you do stick with. So very strong start. Really not going to disappoint for that price point. The second one we're going to look at, we're going to move on to 2017 vintages for the rest of the tasting. This is the 2017 Pinot Gris from Opawa. Recommended retail is $24 Australian in this case. And one of the things that I always am interested to see when I see either Pinot Gris or Pinot Grigio is whether or not they are the style of the wine is consistent with the style of the name. So typically Pinot Grigio is going to be a bit lighter and crisper and fresher. Pinot Gris is going to be a little bit richer and more textural. And just having a look at the colour of this wine, I would say that it is kind of leaning more Gris style. It does have a slightly richer, kind of golden, almost onion skinny sort of colour to it, which would indicate that the fruit was a little bit riper, and we're looking at it's slightly richer. So let's have a look. It is 13.5% alcohol. That certainly is very much in the realm of Pinot Gris as opposed to Pinot Grigio. So, you know, it shows promise as far as being the correct style, I guess, for the label. Aromatically, not really giving heaps. Very, very delicate sort of pear, nashy, more orchard fruits, absolutely. Just a little bit of sort of citrus blossom here. Just some quince as well. Not like really jumping out of the glass. So I'm interested to see what it looks like on the palate. So let's taste. It certainly does lean more towards the Gris style. It doesn't have as much weight as I was expecting, and it's a very, very low amount of residual sugar in there. You can find Pinot Gris to have high levels of residual sugar. Certainly not kind of off dry like a German Riesling, but you do tend to find a little bit more kind of fruit sweetness to it. Again, this is very light, fresh style of Pinot Gris. Does have some texture to it, a little bit of weight, but certainly not kind of super rich. It is going to be ideal with certain styles of food, like Pinot Gris can tend to be, but it's another Pinot Gris that you could, it's another style of white wine you could happily drink on its own. Again, I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's a very, very solid choice at the price point. I think at under $20 it would be really great value. So again, I'm not disappointed with that, and I don't think anyone who likes Pinot Gris is going to be disappointed with that as well. But again, it's not kind of really blowing my mind, you know. But you probably shouldn't expect something to blow your mind at that kind of price point. So again, very strong, very well made, very balanced, and representing good value. The next wine is Rosé, as you can probably tell, from 2017 as well. Probably unsurprisingly, it is, according to the label, made from Pinot Noir grapes. Pinot Noir, easily the most important red variety on the South Island, or to be honest, it's easily the most important variety for all of New Zealand, being that predominantly they are a cool climate growing country. So, starting off, it is in that lovely pale, sort of salmony, pinky colour, which you do tend to see with Pinot Noir. You know, light skins, not a huge amount of colour in them either. So often people will use Pinot Noir to make these dry, lighter styles of rosé. Certainly, it is not uncommon in Australia, and very, very typical of rosés made from Pinot Noir. We are talking about sort of strawberries and cream, you know, ripe raspberries, a bit of cherry as well, very fruity, with a little bit of kind of creaminess and the aromas that suggest some fruit sweetness. So let's taste. Another really light, uncomplicated wine, I think is probably the best way of putting it. Recommended retail on this one, sorry, is $24, similar to the Gris. If I can be honest for a second, I don't really like Pinot Noir Rosé. I think if you're going to grow Pinot Noir, you're better off making it as a red wine, unless you know you're making it as a sparkling wine. I think that there are countless other red varieties which are much better suited for rosé, in my opinion. It just sort of, the fruit kind of gets away from it too easily. It doesn't have the right sort of acidity. It doesn't have enough bite to it. And this is a very, very classic example of that. Whilst I think most people would be pretty happy with this kind of rosé, I don't really like it. I think the fruit character is a bit too strong, and it's approaching kind of fruit sweetness, which I don't like to see. It is a dry rosé, don't get me wrong, but the fruit is kind of like that really sort of strawberries and cream sort of character on the palate is a little bit unappealing for me. But if you like a sort of fruity rosé that is still, you know, reasonably or completely dry, I probably would recommend this. But again, now there's a lot of other rosés out in the market, so I dare say that you'll find a lot of competition for this wine. And speaking of Pinot Noir, we're going to finish with the 2017 Pinot Noir from Opawa. And recommended retail a little bit of a jump up here to $27 Australian. There are a number of regions in New Zealand which are very well regarded for Pinot Noir, like Central Otago, Marlborough. Those are sort of the two really premium ones. Marlborough can produce some very good Pinot Noir in certain parts of the region, but a lot of it is very solid, but I guess, yeah, not mind-blowing. So colour-wise, it is quite light. Again, very classic. That sort of just a hint of darker berry, but still in that lighter red kind of spectrum as well. Quite characteristic of Marlborough Pinot Noir, in my opinion. In that slightly darker cherry, just a hint of savoury, a Caribbee sort of. It's somewhere between stalky and oaky, kind of slight smokiness to it. Let's taste. Another lovely, light, fresh, clean, very classic varietal example. There's a little bit of oakiness there, which is just sort of taken away from the back end for me. Possibly could improve with the 6 or 12 months longer in bottle, and let that oak kind of fade away. The structure is very good. It has good depth to it. It's a very drinkable Pinot Noir, which is sort of what you hope for under $30. I think that's a very solid example. Yeah, look, $27. That's a really good Pinot. That's a pretty good Pinot, and that's kind of where New Zealand is probably just getting the best of Australia, in my opinion. Is in that kind of mid-range. I think Australia makes some very good, inexpensive Pinots, $20 to $25, and then it makes some exceptional Pinots, sort of above $40, $45, as does New Zealand. But where New Zealand is certainly getting the advantage of Australia is in that $25 to $40 price point. They make some really, really solid Pinots, very, very dependable, consistent, sound and structured Pinot. So I think that's a good buy, and it's probably a really, really tight race for me between the Pinot Noir and the Sauvignon Blanc. Unsurprisingly, considering that, like I said, they are the most important white and red variety, respectively, for New Zealand. Correct me if I'm wrong on that assertion. But it has been great to have an opportunity to look at some New Zealand wines on this edition of Let's Taste. I certainly appreciate the opportunity, so thank you to Opawa for very generously donating some samples for me to taste. And as always, I appreciate any winery who's willing to let me share my impressions of your wine. So if you would like to submit samples, please do get in contact with me via my website, intrepidwino.com. There's lots of other content available there. I have done writing in the past. You can also find my podcast there, the Vincast, as well as ways of getting in contact with me. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, share it on social media, leave a comment in the section below. If you're watching this video on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can get access to new videos as soon as they become available. And likewise, if you are watching on Facebook, make sure to like that page. I always appreciate any feedback you'd be willing to share with me, and please do follow me on social media on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. I am at Intrepid Wino. Thank you guys. Like I said, Happy New Year. Bring on 2019. I'm really excited about what the 2019 vintage has in store for both myself and for everyone else. So until next time, Happy New Year and cheers.